don't stand in no business when it's mine. I've been learning how to listen, but it's taking time. Everybody got advice, but nobody.
Hello, everyone. This is Fathers Unmuted, where we talk to the fathers, letting them know that your voices need to be heard and you have to be present. But sometimes we are not sure what it takes to be there. So that's why we're connecting with like minds, individuals that can speak to you and deliver a message that you can put action behind. Today, we have Donald Lewis, a man with word, but with those words comes actionable power. We have a man that's an encourager, a leader, a self-development healer, a visionary. He's a man of value, but most of all, he's going to tell you how it is, because if you listen to it from a cookie cutter, you're never going to actually put action behind it. So we brought someone that's going to give it to you. What that saying? The knit and gritty. Give you all the way down to the butter to the gutter. Donald, go ahead and introduce yourself, man. I appreciate you.
What's going on?
Tuning in.
Absolutely,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Yes.
First and foremost, man, I was wondering who is he introducing?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? My name is Donald Lewis. I'm a clinical social worker. I currently work in the capacity of substance abuse, where I work as a primary therapist. Been in the field for about 5.5 years or so. And I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. First and foremost, they don't know. Let's add to that. He's a speaker as well.
I forgot about that.
Hey,
yes,
you need him. You need him.
Yeah, yes.
Book him.
Absolutely.
Book him. So, Fathers Unmuted is mainly highlighting the influence of fathers, right? The influence that fathers have on today's generation. Based on your relationship with your father, how do you feel, or what are your thoughts on the representation of fatherhood?
Yeah, I think fathers are critically important. So just to the overall nucleus, not only just to the family, but also to the community as a whole. My real father, I don't really have much of a relationship with him, but my stepfather has been in my life since I was about 16 years old. Okay. Incredible man. Couldn't ask for a better representative of manhood and how to grow and develop and be a man. Taught me a lot, you know, just things that you don't even think about, like how to tie a tie. Wow. And you know, that your belt's supposed to match your shoes and, you know, just all of these things that are critically important. And I think what's interesting about it is a lot of the things that he told me as a teenager, I didn't really see the purpose and the meaning behind them. But now as a full-grown adult, it's like, man, you know what? You was on to something, man. Yeah. You was really on to something. So, yeah. And then also not only just that, but, you know, I think particularly in our communities, we need strong black men. We need strong men in general, but particularly in our community, we need strong black men. Right. Leaders, fathers, you know, people that's going to stand up for right and wrong, those sorts of things. So, yeah, they play a huge role.
Definitely. So you said something, and I think our stories kind of relate. Mine probably happened when I was a little bit younger. So my stepfather stepped in, and I was about 6, 7 when he stepped in. Okay. Did you experience, because I know I did, and maybe because I was young, because at the time before that, my biological father was there, so he was a superhero, right? Yeah. And then substance and all those played a part, and he went missing. Yeah. My stepfather came in, and when he stepped in, I was like, "Bro, you're not my dad." Yeah. Like you know what I mean? Little man with a big chest. I was like, "You're not my dad." And I was giving him so much like pushback and all that. For sure. But then as I got older and I started to realize, he's the reason why I'm who I am today. Yeah. Did you experience that?
So I don't think, not necessarily. I was 16, so I can't say that I can relate to definitely thinking of like your father as a superhero. And I think even now I still think of my stepfather as a superhero. Right. He had a stroke, and I just remember the first time going to see him in the hospital. Like I couldn't get myself to really kind of do it, because it was like, man, you know,
he's not supposed to be here.
Yeah, man, it's this Superman, and I don't want to see Superman like this. But I don't necessarily think that I went through that phase of like, you're not my father. I think it was more so, I was so close to getting out of the house anyway. Yeah. I was like, listen, if mom and little sister is cool, I'm straight. Like I just need this little 1.5, 2 years or whatever, and I'm gone. You know what I mean? So I think that was more of our kind of dynamic. But also I would say this too, like my stepfather, he didn't really try to come in there. he came in there with the idea of like, let's build a relationship.
Gotcha.
Right. He didn't come in there with the idea of like, I'm daddy now, da 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 da. He came in with the idea of like, let's build a relationship.
Right.
So I remember like for us, the first thing that he did when he met us was he took us bowling. Right.
Okay.
Just me and my younger sister. We just went bowling together. And he just did little things like that along the way that I think helped to really kind of nourish the relationship.
Right.
So it wasn't as much,
Gotcha.
hostility between us. Yeah.
And I like that because I feel like that's something similar. And I feel like that's a good way of doing it because there's some individuals like, hey, I'm the man of the house now.
Right.
And that energy
Yeah.
is like, bro, like you just
I'm a man
yeah,
too, bro.
yeah,
What
you
you
just
mean?
walking in
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But I feel like it opens the door for stepfathers, or I won't even call them stepfathers because they're fathers, right? Fathers to come in and it's not their biological kids, but they come in and play a role, and that role doesn't have to be, hey, I'm your biological. No, I'm here to be a role model.
Sure.
So doing things like bowling and building that connection, but also setting standards and boundaries, it plays a huge part as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Shout out to all the fathers that's stepping up
For sure.
to their kids that may not be your biological, but they are your kids because it's all love, right?
Absolutely, for sure.
So let me ask you this: with you being on like many different stages, right? Impacting so many lives, doing what you do best, doing what you do
For sure.
best. Give you flowers in the midst of the question.
Yeah. Listen, man. I love it, man. I love this podcast. Man. I gotta come back.
Let's do it. What do you consistently see when it comes to men when they're carrying so much but can't be present due to the fact of those things?
Yeah, so I currently work in substance abuse, and one of the things that I see a lot when men are carrying so much and they don't really have an outlet, what we would call like a safe environment to really kind of process those things, is that they resort to drugs and alcohol, right? We resort to violence. We resort to being closed off, all of those sorts of things, right? And none of those things are good for us.
No.
We need to create more safer environments for men to be able to talk. I think podcasts like this, as I was telling you earlier, is really important because it's just not enough of us being heard in those areas and in those dynamics, right? So I think when we are trying to carry the load and we don't necessarily have an outlet to really kind of release it, it just can really be detrimental to our health.
So do you see a change coming, or is there like a wave of fathers, or not even just men in general, like, hey, I know these are the things that we go to, but this is the new direction. Do you see that happening in your field?
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking a little bit prior to the cameras going on, and one of the things that I've been noticing is how many men I'm actually working with in treatment. So, for example, I work with 15 clients right now. 13 of my 15 clients are men, and so this idea of men not getting help, men not getting treatment, et cetera, it's not as much of a realistic narrative as I think it is like projected on social media or just in common conversations. Also, I think of therapy a little bit more than just what I do, right?
Okay.
I think about when I go to the barbershop and I'm sitting in the chair and I'm talking to my barber about whatever's going on. Man, that's very cathartic for me.
Yeah.
Right. As it is for a lot of other people, a lot of other men. That's why we go to the barbershop. Yes, we want to get a haircut. We want to look clean. We want to be all of that. But it's also a time for us to get there and talk about man stuff. Right. So I think having a strong support group is going to be critically important as well. And I can't really emphasize that even enough.
Right.
Everybody can't necessarily afford to come to therapy, but everybody can afford to have a strong male presence in their lives.
So I have two questions. First question is for those that are like therapists like yourself, motivational speakers, pastors, and those things. What can we do to be impactful in men's lives that may not know that they're dealing with it, or know that they're dealing with it but don't know which direction to go?
Yeah, I think I think with knowledge comes power.
Okay.
Right. And so a lot of times, again, this is the reason why podcasts, stuff like this are so important, is because we got to get the word out. When I first got into the field of mental health, there weren't a lot of therapists that I had seen or encountered that looked like me. And what I mean by that is male, African American, all that kind of stuff. So when I'm working with clients and it's particularly African American clients or even male clients, and they see like, oh, this is another male that's going to be my therapist. It kind of helps to release the anxiety a little bit. And I think what happens a lot of times is, particularly when you are a man of power or of influence, you don't have a whole lot of people that you can go to and talk to and stuff like that, because most people are looking to you for help.
Facts.
Right. And so I think if we find ourselves in these types of fields, then I think it's important for us to always make ourselves available enough so that they understand that, yeah, we're available for them too. I think I think pastors need therapists just like therapists need pastors and all of those sorts of things. Right. Or anybody of influence, therapists need therapists. Right. Pastors need pastors, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
100%. So that being said, my second question is, so one, social media is putting out that narrative that we talked about, right? But correct me if I'm wrong, I feel a lot of individuals that are in power are running with that narrative because that gives them likes, shares, and those things. But they don't run with the narrative that you just spoke about.
Yeah.
Where, hey, out of 15, 13 of them are men.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, why are we running to that?
I mean, it's a numbers game, right?
Yeah,
You gotta let's get right to it, right? It's about money at the end of the
Right.
day, right? So it's a numbers game, and one of the things that we understand is that women happen to be the biggest consumers in this country, and so if I'm going to sell a product, I need to sell a product that women are going to buy. Men, we don't typically buy things, right?
That's
Not as much, right? So if I'm going to sell a product, I have to sell a product that's going to be user friendly to the consumer. Right.
Okay.
And so a lot of times that's a lot of what we have going on, right? What we got to call pandering. Right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that sucks though, man, because if we were to, I get it. I get it. I get it. And maybe I'm looking
It
at
sucks,
it.
but I get it.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at it
Yeah,
from
yeah.
a standpoint of like, come on, man. Like, we really out here.
Yeah.
We leaving people high and dry.
Yeah.
Like, we could be changing someone's life if they understood. Because, granted, if someone knew out of 15, 13 men were there, you know how many other men be like, hey, well, 13 are doing it, I'll do it.
Right.
But when they hearing that men don't do this, they're like, well, I'm not about to be the first one to go do it. So then we're pushing them to being unaliving themselves and not being present or just saying it is what it is. Like, we're holding families back.
Sure.
Children are not being able to see their fathers based off of men. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I also think, you're absolutely correct. And I think that there still is a narrative of, so I believe that an emotionally intelligent man is a strong man, right? An emotionally intelligent man is a strong man. I think when we don't have places to, or safe spaces to where we are able to vent, and we just try to hold that stuff in, a lot of times what happens is our weaknesses start to seep through. Right. And so an emotionally intelligent man is a man who's able to articulate how he feels, right? And articulate his thoughts without being emotional, right? So he's able to articulate his emotions. He's able to articulate his thoughts without becoming emotional. In other words, I'm able to say, hey, look, I'm angry or I'm upset right now, but I'm not going to act in violence. Right. And so, I think that, to your point, not having these conversations really does us a disservice. I also think, too, when we think about things like therapy, a lot of times we're thinking about it like that's what women do. Right? That's not something that men do. And one of the reasons why I got into the field is because I wanted to change that narrative. Hey, listen, as a man, straight man, we can come to therapy too. This is not something that's seen as feminine or soft, or this doesn't make you weak. If anything, right, this can make you stronger. This can make you even more of the man that you want to be. Right? Because all of us have skeletons in our closet. All of us got things that we need to work through. So why not get that help? Why continue to hold on to that? And that could be the difference in going to the next level as opposed to staying the same.
That's true.
Not to deviate too much, but me personally, that's the very reason why I started going to therapy, is because I felt like there was this ceiling that I had hit, and I couldn't really understand like what it was. I'm like, man, this like I can't break this particular ceiling. I didn't really feel like I had a whole lot of like deep, intricate stuff growing up. I come from the hood, but it wasn't nothing that I felt like was super crazy in comparison to like other people's, growing up in the hood, single parent household type of stories. Nevertheless, going to therapy kind of opened up my mind and opened up, just certain things. So now I'm like, oh, okay, I actually was able to kind of break that ceiling and go to the next level. So I say the same thing for other men out there, right? It's very possible that you can go to the next level, and you just maybe need some help to do that.
So I like that. And I was going to ask you, one, what drove you into the direction of therapist, and then how long? And obviously you answer both of them, which is dope. Yeah. And the thing, what I like that you said is you still, you do have therapy for yourself.
For sure.
And one of my questions was, do you yourself as a therapist have
100%?
And
got a pastor, all of that.
Yeah.
Got to support all of that. Yep, all of that.
How did you create your team? Your circle that you can vent to?
Yeah. So I would say like my therapist is probably the person that I would vent to the most. Obviously, he's trained. There's a confidentiality, all that kind of stuff that kind of goes into play. So sometimes we can have a little bit different conversation than I can with my homeboys.
Right.
But no, man, it's just really about just being equally yoked and headed in the same direction. We don't have to necessarily be doing the same thing. But you when you're in a room of like-minded people, right? We were in a room, a month or two ago? Yeah. And so you know when you're in those types of rooms where you're like, okay, these people in this room are like-minded. They're headed in a direction that either I'm going or I would like to go.
Right.
And the same is true with like the people that I have around me.
I like that. You were saying earlier how having going to the barbershop is like therapy. So I actually did a post today. It's funny. I did a post today, and I've been playing ball. Don't worry about my height, but I've been playing ball for years.
I think I see something about you playing ball too.
Yeah, I've been playing for years, and obviously at one point I was like balling. Now I just show up. But the thing is, I posted and I was like, basketball saved my life. Yeah. And the reason why I posted that is because no matter what went on, there was days that, bro, eviction notice on the door. I'm like, Lord. At everything, and I was like, you know what? I don't even want to see the next minute. Let me go ahead and do what I need to do, so I don't have to live this no more.
Sure.
I would go to the court, and hooping, it just did something. I'm there with other guys, and we just talking, and and sometimes we talking trash or whatever, but just hooping, just being in the environment. Even if I'm on the sideline watching, I would leave, go to my car, and whatever you guys believe in is what you believe in, but I would pray to who I believe in, right? And I was always like, hey, thank you for allowing me to do this. Yeah. And then just letting everything out in the car and then going home. But I released it on the court. That was like, even to this day, I don't hoop the same. Like, man, just yesterday I was hooping, and I probably didn't even make it half court a couple times. I'm tired.
Just out there. Yeah. I got
and
you.
I'm talking trash.
Yeah.
But I went home, and I'm like, wow. Like, I felt so good. Yeah. So a lot of things, hobbies, and I feel like it's a part of therapy, and we just don't pay attention to that. But basketball saved my life.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that. And that's why I say that therapy is much broader than just what I do, right? I think we limit sometimes therapy to just what I do. Right. But in all actuality, things like finding your hobby, right? For me, one of the things that I do usually in my wind down time is I'm going to play video games. I like to go to the gym. Those sorts of things are very cathartic for me. They help me to release, whatever pressure that I have on me or whatever, So yeah, I think also that's another thing. I think we look at therapy in such a vacuum, but in all actuality, there are at least elements of therapy in very many different things that we do, right? And it's really just about finding what works for you. Correct. That's really the key in all of this is what works for you, and then doing that so that you can get that release. Right. Yeah.
So we have a segment. We're going to take a pause. We have a segment that we do. But first, want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. We want to give a shout out to, obviously, Crumbled Dreams for being a part of the Arca Foundations. We want to give a shout out to Wolves of Real Estate. We want to give a shout out to Move in Love. And we want to give a shout out to our potential sponsor. So we shouting it out. We're putting it out there right now. Discuss with Dads. And what that is what we're going to do now is you're going to just pick a card, read it, and then we both will answer. Okay. We both answer. Pick any card. You can pick the deck up, and whatever you feel comfortable with.
How did you choose your career?
Oh, that's a good
question.
And
what did you enjoy most about it?
Gotcha. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
So my career, I went to school for business, minored in marketing and sales.
Nice.
I went into that because my stepdad told me, he's like, you're good at selling things and talking to people and building relationships. So I went. The first 10 years, I was doing sales, but it was not in my field. I mean, it was in my field, but it wasn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? I hated it until I realized I met a gentleman. He opened the door up for me. He was like, bro, you don't need to be working with corporate. You can be your own person. Fast forward, I was able to start my own sales company, marketing company, obviously Fathers Unmuted. And now I start small businesses. So say if a friend of mine wants to do pressure washing, I'll open it up, show him how to market it, take 10% of the profit as it comes in, and he has everything else, and he just runs the business, and I'm just, all right, I set you up for success. That's where we're at now.
Nice. Yeah, Dad was right, sound like.
Yeah, that was right.
Yeah, so how did I choose, or how did you choose your career? So I chose my career, like I said earlier, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I wanted to get in the field as a therapist for men. And then also, too, another thing, the reason why I chose my career is because I wanted to be good at whatever it was I was going to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Ever since I was a kid, people have always asked me questions, or asked for my advice on certain things. I remember being like 8 years old, and like adults would be like, "Hey, Donald, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, whatever, right? And I always had something good to say, even if I was wrong. So I think that's really what kind of
you led people in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I might have.
You like over here?
I might have. I was 8, man. I was 8. I was before school. What do I enjoy most about it? I think seeing people change.
Gotcha.
So I get the opportunity to work with clients over roughly about a 30-day period. And so when they first come in, they're detoxing, they're sick, they don't want to be there, they're not feeling good, they just looking as rough can get, right? And usually by the time day 30, 31 comes around, they're a completely different person.
Gotcha.
And so I think that's the most rewarding part, is being able to see the journey and take that journey with them.
I love you. So I didn't answer that question. What I enjoy most about what I do is kind of similar. I get to paint the bigger picture and then give people ways to get there. So I do something called like a 90-day thing. And in that 90 days, it's from 0 all the way to where you can actually start profiting or getting to the point of profiting. So I love it because I get to see them go from, I would say, an infant until maybe a teenager until they're ready. So yeah. So that's that. We have another segment, man, real quick.
Okay.
We have Moving Love. Moving Love is a faith-based company, clothing brand.
Okay.
And what happened is I was wearing their merch because I loved it. I love what it stood for. And then I was able to collab with them.
Oh, nice.
Right. So Moving Love wanted to give you a gift.
Okay.
Go ahead and Fathers Unmuted
Man.
and Moving Love. Go ahead and open it up, man. Go ahead and open it up.
Hold on, man. I'm going to probably open it wrong, but...
No, it's all good.
Oh, man. Thank y'all, man. I appreciate this.
Yes.
Listen, I don't know where to go to podcasts and get gifts now.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go. And the
Shout
back
out to
is
y'all, man.
accountable
Oh.
to, you good, accountable to God,
Yeah, I
present
like it. I
as
like it.
Father.
Moving Love, man. I really appreciate that, man.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
y'all. I'm going to
yes.
wear this Sunday to church.
There we go.
Appreciate
Shout
y'all,
out,
man.
shout out.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Moving Love. So we wanted to do that part. Yeah, I got you. Put it over here. So now that we did that part,
Yeah.
right? As a therapist, you talked about you still go to therapy,
Yeah.
and you do those things. Do you see certain therapy? Well, let me ask you this: is it important for a therapist to do that? Because I feel like you guys take on, like, man, y'all take on more than the average Joe.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Mr. Reggie, by the way. I ain't going to say your last name. Shout out to Mr. Reggie. That's my therapist. 100%. And I think even if we don't necessarily go to therapists, even if we don't necessarily go to therapy, I think it's always good to just have solid counsel around you. Yeah. So sometimes even with us as therapists, like in our center, sometimes we just talk to one another about just life or whatever's going on. If we see somebody having a bad day, we might pull them to the side. But hey, man, you all right? What's going on? Hey, do you need me to teach this group today? Do you need some help with your clients or stuff like that? And I think that kind of stuff goes a really long way because to your point, we are hearing when people come to therapy, they're not coming to therapy necessarily to tell us good stuff.
At all.
You know what I mean?
At all. At all.
When you think about 8-10 hours a day of hearing some of the craziest stuff you've ever heard in the world, yeah, you need some sort of reprieve for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like, yeah, I agree. That's important because as I sit and like process it, you know how they always say, be careful who you're around because their energy connects to you.
Yes.
And with you guys, I mean, nothing to anyone, but there's a lot of energy that yeah.
You are absolutely correct. Yeah,
man. That's so salute to y'all.
and we're in a room by ourselves.
That's it.
Right? Just me and that other person, right? So yeah, it's a lot of yeah. And also too, I think what's critically important too is, just the overall idea of like self-care. That's so important, right. Particularly if you're in what we call like a helping profession, right? It's critical for anybody, particularly people that are in helping professions, nurses, doctors, that kind of stuff. I always tell my clients that, you're only as good to others as you are to yourself.
Right.
And so I tell them like, hey, listen, I have cutoff times, right? So at 4:30 when I leave, whatever, I always tell them, whatever is here at the treatment center is here at the treatment center, unless it's something that's really critically important.
Right.
But whatever it's here, why? Because I need that time to myself, right? I only have so much reserve. And so I need that for my family. I need that for the things that's going on in my life. I need that. And if I give all of that to them, then what do I have for myself? Or what do I have for my family? What do I have for, my girl and all that kind of stuff? Yeah.
So 100%. So let me ask you this. Can you break down how a father's mental health who doesn't know how to manage it or who has not managed it, how that impacts not only his children, but his partner and the household?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And one of the things I work with a lot of my male clients on really is just the idea of resentment and forgiving their parents. A lot of times what happens to us is, or I should say it this way. Yeah. A lot of times what happens to us is, we experience certain things in our lives and we don't really know how to process those things. And one of the things I often like to tell people is what doesn't come out in the rinse always comes out in the wash. And if we don't have a positive way to process things, we're going to process those things in a negative way.
Wow.
And so what tends to happen is if we haven't done the internal work that we need to do, right, forgiving our parents, our mothers and our fathers and other people in our lives, a lot of times that shows in our relationships, whether that be with our children or whether that be with our spouses, et cetera, et cetera. And it can show in various different ways, right? You have some men who are proverbial mama's boys, right? And they don't know how to get off the breast, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to keep it clean.
You just hit it. Hey, I told you say how it is. Say how it is.
But yeah, and so even in their adult life, they're looking for their mother. Yeah. Right? From their spouse, right? Which is not the role of a woman. A woman is not your wife. Is not supposed to be your pseudo mother, right?
Right.
Or maybe they're overly aggressive or anything like that. It shows itself in various different ways. And what tends to happen is it negatively affects our relationships, right? A lot of times there's this barrier that can exist between us and whoever it is that we're trying to be intimate with. And that barrier, a lot of times we have to look internal first and say, okay, is it me with the barrier, right? Or how am I contributing to this, whatever this block is?
So in that, how man, that's a lot of questions that come to mind.
Yeah.
So that person that's have that, right, that issue where they can't manage, they don't know what's going on. How do they realize, okay, this is me dealing with my parents? Or better question is, man, I don't like my dad. I don't like my mom. Yeah. I'm frustrated. They did whatever they did, but how am I supposed to get over that? Yeah. Like, what does that look like? What do you tell that person? Because I'm pretty sure there's fathers out there that don't want to be a father because they're like, I don't want to mess up when my dad do the same thing. Let me break the cycle by not being there.
Yeah, one of the things is very interesting is that in order to get over trauma, you have to want to get over trauma. So a lot of the clients that I work with, sometimes they're looking to be heard, not necessarily for help.
Gotcha.
And that becomes a very kind of funny line for me because sometimes I'm working with clients and they only want to tell me the problem. but they don't really want to get into the solution. So the first thing I would say is, does that person even truly want to forgive, or are they just looking for some sort of like empathy or sympathy? Right. Gotcha. That's always going to be step number one, right? Am I in a position? Do I really want to get better?
How do you find that out?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think it's internal. You know when you've reached that point.
Right.
You know, a lot of times what that can look like is you start to actually seek out the help. Right. And I'll tell you just a quick story real quickly. I had mom issues, right? I had mother issues. And one of the best things that I had ever done was learn how to forgive my mother. And so what I did was I wrote her a letter, right? And I went to her and I read her that letter. And that changed the dynamic. And it's funny because me and my mom, we didn't have like a bad relationship,
right?
But I feel like my relationship with her improved so much once I had done that, right? And so again, you have to get into that space where you want to do that and then go about doing it.
I like that.
Yeah.
One, I would say to anyone that's listening, that's a good exercise to do. So if there is any type of resentment or anything that comes about, I mean, I feel like writing a letter, you let off a lot. You let off a lot. Or even doing the video, like just recording yourself doing the video and showing the individual the video, you're letting off a lot of steam build up and then doing it. So I highly recommend everyone, because I like that. I like that.
And I would also encourage people too, like if that person, if you're able to actually go to that person, whether that be with the video or with the letter, I think that is a huge part of it too, because one of the things that we're trying to overcome is the boogeyman, essentially, right? I don't want to have this conversation because I know it's going to be tough and it might get emotional, and so I'm trying to kind of avoid that, right? And so the idea of actually being face to face with that individual and kind of embracing that moment and everything that comes with that moment adds to just the overall healing process, right? I was recently teaching a group with some clients, and we were talking about anxiety. And one of the things I shared to them was there are certain things that there is no like therapeutic way to like soothe your anxiety about it. You just got to do it. That's one of those things as well. So if you have the opportunity to be able to go to that individual and have a conversation with that individual, I think that's really important as well. And also to your point of writing the letter, what it does is it allows you to be able to streamline your thoughts. I don't know about you, man, but I've been in situations where I've been arguing with somebody and I'll get so caught up in the emotion of the argument that I actually forget what I wanted to really say.
Facts.
And then I walk away from the argument like, dang, I ain't even say half of
let
what
me
I
go
really
back.
want. Yeah, right. So writing it down helps me to streamline my thoughts, helps me to process, helps me to read through it, right? And then also, too, I can cut out the fat. A lot of times when we're arguing, there's a lot of fat that's being poured into the argument, right? So we start talking about washing the dishes, but washing the dishes turns into 3 weeks ago you didn't do this and that, and then we lose what we were actually even arguing about. So it helps us to maybe streamline our thoughts, take the emotion out of the situation, and now I'm just kind of just telling you how I feel, void of any sort of like negative emotion.
Which is good, because then you're not bringing up old stuff.
Correct.
You're bringing up current.
Correct.
And I feel like that happens a lot. Like you said, people bring up old. Let me ask you this. So in that, right, that father that has that child but wasn't present, and we talked about writing a letter or videos, what could that father do? Say, and I guess we can break it down into different age groups. Say toddler to teen to, I mean, almost an adult. Like, what could that father do to rekindle or try to step back in?
Yeah, that's a really nuanced kind of question, really, because there's a lot of different variables that come into play. Obviously, the mother comes into play, right? Because sometimes the reason why the father is not in the child's life is not because the mother is trying to protect the child, but that the mother is trying to protect herself.
Wow.
And so you have a lot of men that are not involved in their kids' lives, not because they're bad fathers per se, but because the mom has this emotional attachment and she's kind of lording the child over the father. She's using the child as leverage.
Gotcha.
Right. But you know, I think if I had to go anywhere with that, I would say really, you know, just try to be as supportive to the child as possible. You know, just try to be supportive to the child as possible in the best way that you know how. And at some point, and I'll say this too, I think that as children, I think that it is important to hear the other parent's side of the story as well.
Wow.
Right? Because so often, like, again, I grew up in a single parent household with my mom, right? So I heard my mom's side of the story. But I think my dad has a valid side of the story as well, right? I still might feel how I'm going to feel, whatever, right? But I think it's important because sometimes when you're only hearing one side of the story, it can build this level of resentment. But we also got to keep in mind that usually when we're telling a story, we're either the hero or we're the victim. Rarely are we the villain.
Correct.
So I would say as a father, if you find yourself in that situation, really try as best as you can to try to be as supportive to that child as you can, whether that be, financially, emotionally, however, again, because it looks kind of choppy for everybody, but as best as you can, try to be supportive to that child.
Got you. And I was thinking as you were saying, like, tell the story, I would say, or maybe I would put out there, maybe be mindful, like know when to tell that story, because that child may be hearing you like, oh, your mom or your dad, because it depends on the situation, yada, 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 yada. And they're like, yo, like, they've been here the past 13 years. What's up, my guy? You know what I mean? So being mindful of when, but like you said, be supportive, be there, show up.
And I would also say, too, even with, some conversations are just hard no matter when you bring them up. Yeah,
that's true.
Right? And, I'm going to probably naturally have, just as a human being, more of an attachment to the parent that was there than the parent that wasn't there. Right? So there's probably not a easy way to say, hey, what your mom or your dad was telling you, it went like that, but it ain't really go like that. You get what I'm saying? That's always going to be difficult for us to hear and really kind of digest. So I think if I was having that conversation with my child, right, if I was having that conversation with them, I would probably go into that situation expecting that there's going to be some sort of pushback.
Correct.
Yeah. Like there's going to be some sort of, man,
bruh, like if
bruh,
you don't stop.
to just go ahead on and expect that. Because most often than not, that's probably what's going to happen because, hey, this parent's been here my whole life. You're kind of just coming in off of the street saying that,
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. So, I would expect that.
What about that father or mother, because I'm going to put it on both sides, that actually have to come in and be like, hey, I am the villain. Like, 'cause you said it, most of us are more so like, look, I'm not about to tell you what I did wrong.
Yeah.
How and the reason why I want you to answer that question, because I want that father that maybe like, man, should I go talk to him or not? Yeah, I know I did X, Y, Z, or I'm locked up, or I did this. Like, what would that conversation look like?
Yeah, so I'm big on men accepting accountability, right? So, and responsibility for themselves and for their own actions, right? So you never want to go into a situation and blame the other person, right? By the same token, I think it does take two to tango, right? And very rarely, at least in my experience working with clients, have I ever heard any situation where somebody was completely right and somebody else was completely wrong. Typically, the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right? So, he might be more culpable in the reason why there's a split, but chances are she's played a role in it as well, and vice versa, right? She may be more culpable in this situation, but chances are he played a role too. He wasn't a saint, right? And so I think, learning to accept responsibility for your actions, your behavior, but also understanding that, hey, listen, yes, I did play a role. Maybe I'm more culpable, but there's probably room to go around when it comes to culpability.
Right. Yeah. I like that. I feel like the child gonna be like, nah, just take all the blame, my boy.
Probably.
Just take all the blame.
Probably. and that's why I say, accept responsibility. Hey, you know what? This is my fault for X, Y, and Z, right? And I probably wouldn't even get too much into detail about unless the conversation happened that way. But I also wouldn't allow things to be put on me that wasn't put on me.
That wasn't my fault.
You know what I'm saying? Like yes, I'll accept my fault in this, but I ain't finna let you I ain't finna let you do that either.
If you could give a powerful message, right? And I want you to like really visualize this.
Okay.
The father, the man, may not even be a father, get home for work, did a long day, construction, therapy, marketing, whatever. Get home for work. Before he goes in the house, he's in the car. He gets home, say 4 o'clock, doesn't get out the car till 4:30. That 30 minutes, he's either screaming, tears, mind's all over the place, everything. In those 30 minutes, if you can give a powerful message to that man, what would that be?
Embrace it. Embrace it. Embrace it.
I like that.
Embrace it. Life is not all rainbows and sunshine, right? There's difficulties in life, right? Our faith teaches us that in this world, you're going to face tribulation, right? So this idea that I'm never going to face any issues or problems in my life, it's just not the case.
Right.
Embrace it. Embrace the fact that, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling good today. Hey, you know what? I'm hurting today. Hey, you know what? I'm frustrated today. Again, the idea of emotional intelligence, being able to recognize what my emotions are without operating in those emotions, right? So yeah, I recognize what my emotions are, but I learn how to process those emotions in a very positive way. There's nothing wrong with sitting in your car and crying, right? Nothing wrong with sitting in your car and screaming and yelling. I'd much rather you sit in your car and scream and yell than to go in your house and scream and yell.
Right.
Right. So if screaming and yelling in your car is the way that you're able to process and get through that, and then walk in the house and be the father, be the husband, be the whatever that you need to be for your community and for your tribe, then by all means, brother, do it.
I love that.
Embrace it.
You answer that. So society, we already know, they put a picture out there that you're only supposed to be the provider and so be there, but mainly be the provider.
Sure.
How can we change that?
Yeah, and that's a great question, right? I think we first have to just really kind of look at, and I'm a very spiritual person, as you probably yourself. I believe that the divine nature of a man is to lead, protect, and provide, right, in all areas of life, not just financially. Now, finances is the way that we're easily able to measure that.
Correct.
And so, I do believe in things being measurable. Absolutely, right? But there are other ways that we can lead, protect, and provide. Right. And you and I as men, or just men in general, need to learn how to embrace some of those other areas as well. Not neglecting the physical aspect of it or the monetary aspect of it, because again, that's measurable, right? I can't necessarily measure how much you love me, but I can measure you making $100,000, right?
Absolutely.
So we don't want to lose the measurability. Right. That's important. But also understanding that there are other elements to it. I once read a book, and the book is slipping my mind right now, but one of the things that they said in the book, it was a man who was writing the book, and he said men tend to go wrong in two areas in their relationship. Either A, they're not good leaders, or B, they struggle with connecting with their partners. Right. And so, yes, we do want to be the good leaders. And a lot of times that's going to be showed in our work. But we also need to learn the aspects of leading, protecting, and providing that allows us to connect with our partners.
I love that. So I had a guest on, right? And one of the questions I asked the guest was, hey, if your child was to call you and going through something emotionally, but your business needs you there, which one you decide? So they made their decision, right? My answer was, I've taken a lot of losses in business and bounced back. But if I'm not there, that one moment for him being emotional, especially at his age, being 4, that could be a key moment that can be detrimental down the line. So I'd rather take the loss in the business and be there to make sure that I guide him, or not even give him the answer, just make sure hey, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's definitely a great answer. What I would also add to that is, children tend to be more resilient than what we think they are, right? So when I consider my mom to be a good mom, I don't consider her to be a good mom to me because she was perfect, right? I consider her to be a good mom because to the best of her ability, she did the best she could, right? And sometimes as children, we don't always understand the sacrifices our parents make for us until we get older, and then we have to start making those same sacrifices,
like,
right?
Oh, man, I remember now.
Yeah. Now we are like, oh, yeah, I get it, right? It's like, oh, I get it, right? So, yeah, I think in that situation, to your point, I don't think there's really a right or a wrong way, because I think that, both of those things could be critically important, right? Just depending upon what we value, right? And definitely, I think in moments where our children need us and emotional, I do think that there is a certain level of peace and comfort that a man can provide in those areas. A father that can provide in those areas that I think it's just unmatched.
Right.
So if we do have the opportunity to say, hey, hold on, let me put the business on hold for just a moment and let me talk to my son, let me talk to my daughter, let me talk to my girl.
Right.
I think that's important.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna ask you this, man. I need you to be ready.
Okay.
Be ready. So
All right.
you know I love the 90-day
Okay.
layout.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the 90-day layout.
Sure.
So I'm gonna throw it at you.
Okay.
So for a father who's mentally overwhelmed,
Okay.
right, and carrying a lot internally,
Sure.
what would a practical 90-day plan look like to help him rest, refocus, and show up and be present? So show up and be present. What would that 90-day plan look like for him?
Yeah. So, wow, that's a really kind of. I'm not going to probably answer the question
No, you're good,
directly as I
man.
want to. So usually when I teach on mental health, I try to teach from a very practical perspective.
Okay.
Right. In other words, what I found to be true, at least in my practice and in working with clients, is the simpler you make things for people, the more likely they are to follow those things. So I talk about 5 different things when I talk about mental health and the keys to mental health that are practical things that anybody can do. Number 1, spirituality, right? And that doesn't necessarily have to be related to like a religion. If it is related to a religion or a deity, great, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, right? The next thing I talk a little bit about is having more self-awareness. Right. So again, that emotional intelligence kind of thing, right? Being able to recognize myself. What are my hobbies? What are things that I enjoy, et cetera, et cetera. The third thing I talk about is like proper diet and exercise. What am I eating? Right. There's a lot that can be said about the things that we're putting in our bodies, how we're working out, or just are we working out? All of those sorts of things, our testosterone levels, all of that kind of stuff. The fourth thing I usually talk a little bit about is the support group. Right. Okay. So what's my male support group look like? What does that look like around me? And then the fifth thing I talk about is seeking professional help if needed. Right. So maybe I do need to go to the doctor. Maybe I do need to see a therapist. So I would say I would probably work in those 90 days on those 5 things and helping him to develop those 5 things.
I love that. I love that. That's actually a laid out plan.
Yeah.
That's a laid out plan.
Yeah. I was trying to put it in a 90-day. I was like, nah, I ain't gonna be able to fit. So I just get here it is. Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. And again, I think that those 5 things I think are things that I found that any and everybody can do. Right. All of us can eat better. Right. All of us can be a little bit more spiritual. All of us can take better care of our bodies. All of us can develop a support group. 4 of those 5 things are probably relatively simple, and I would even say affordable, right? Because you're eating bad food anyway, so you can go you can go get some good, you can get some better food if you want to. So yeah,
no, you're 100% right. So for the past 2 months now, I changed my diet. I've been going to the gym consistently, feeling good, man. Lost a lot of weight.
Good for you.
And honestly, the price range is maybe a little expensive, but I mean, if I'm not eating out every night, I'm winning. I'm winning. So,
and I was listening to somebody who was talking about finances, and one of the things that he said was what kills people in their finances. This really hit home for me, man. I probably turned the podcast off because I thought he was talking to me directly.
Like, you know me?
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, man. Get out of my car. But one of the things that he said was a lot of times what really kind of gets people off track financially is not the big purchases. It's the small purchases, right? Going to the store, buying $3 sodas every day, and $1 here, $2 there, $5 here, $6 there, $3 here. That kind of stuff adds up, and over time, you're like, man, where did all my money go? Well, all my money went to all these little knick-knack stuff. If I just would have went to the grocery store, Sam's, Costco or whatever, paid the $20, $30 at one time, it would have lasted me a lot longer than paying $3 every single day.
That's true. That's true, because I go get paper towels, and I'm like, man, let me just get these 2 for the moment. And you got a valid point.
Yeah, we all do, man. I go to listen, and I go to Sam's like probably every other week, man, and I still end up being little knick-knack.
Yeah.
Be killing me, man. Yeah, for sure.
So as we close up the podcast, we have another segment.
Okay.
And this segment is Fathers Unmuted, Off Mute.
Okay.
And what that is mainly saying, now we're at the point of the end of the conversation, and every father that tuned in, you're not muted anymore. You've gotten the understanding of what it takes to actually build and get your mental health, the emotional intelligence. You have the 5 things that can get you to the point where you need to be in 90 days. There's no reason you don't have a voice. So what we do is challenge our guests.
Okay.
And we're going to give you 10 words. Every word, just tell me what comes to the top of your head.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Okay. Oh man, this is gonna be the segment.
All right. Mental health.
Necessary.
Okay. Counseling.
Necessary.
Visitation rights.
Ooh. Controversial.
Legacy.
Important.
Depression.
Happens.
Child support.
Don't like it.
Black excellence.
Need it.
Meditation.
Need it.
Inheritance.
Necessary.
And last but not least, fatherhood.
Can't live without it.
Man, you did it. You did it.
That was tough, man.
You did it.
That was tough,
You
man.
did So,
Yeah.
any last words you would like to say to the guests or the people that's tuning in to Fathers Unmuted?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me
Yes,
again,
sir.
Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
And secondly, if you guys take anything from this particular podcast today, it would be to really get like a good, strong male support group around you. As men, we need that. It's so critical. So I work in substance abuse, as I've said numerous times on here. And one of the things that we found that keeps people in long-term sobriety, at least what the research tells us, is that what keeps people in long-term sobriety is less about the programs that they work and more about the connections that they make within those programs. In other words, it's not about AA, NA, Smart Recovery, those sorts of things, right? It's really about the people that you meet within those programs and those people really kind of being a support to you in that particular program as you navigate life. And so I think it's critically important that you have people around you and a team around you that's going to be able to hold you accountable, but then also encourage you and embrace you. And so if you take anything from this particular podcast, that would be it, right? Find a good, sober support group, or find a good support group. I'm already in my bag. Find a good support group. Find a good support group that will embrace you and also challenge you to be better.
Absolutely. Where can they find you, man?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Donald, DONALD _Lewis, LEWIS 863. Also, you can find me on Facebook, Donald Lewis. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fathers Unmuted. As we said, you are not muted anymore. You have the ability to be present and make sure you show up not only for yourself, but for the kids that depend on you. See you guys at the top.
Yes, sir.
Fathers Unmuted. Fathers Unmuted. Fathers Unmuted.